Hello and welcome to this special live on the Nilambur by-election result. I am S. Anandan, resident editor of the Hindu for Kerala, and I am joined by Abdul Latheef Naha, our principal correspondent in Malappuram. So, Naha, it's a thumping majority of over 11,000 votes for UDF's Aryadan Shaukat, a Congress candidate. So, was this result expected going into the elections? How do you put this result in perspective?
Uh, from a UDF perspective, this was anticipated, this was expected. They had such a victory in their mind when they worked for it, because the kind of work they did in Malappuram, I mean in Nilambur, was leading to such a thing. And UDF was the only contestant who predicted a majority, whereas the LDF had not predicted any majority. They said they would win. That was what they said. But it was very evident. It was evident that the UDF victory was there on the cards, and the victory has in fact boosted the UDF morale like anything, like never before. This is said to be a stepping stone. This is said to be a barometer for what is going to come. Two elections are going to come. One is local body elections, and followed by assembly elections, hardly in less than a year. So this is going to be a stepping stone for that election. So in that way, this is very, very important for the UDF, and they are really happy, and we can find the happiness in the UDF camps.
But this is one election where we saw a frenetic campaign by the LDF. The chief minister himself stayed over and campaigned for a couple of days together. So, where did they falter? Was anti-incumbency at work?
Actually, anti-incumbency was at work, definitely, because that is what Anwar is calling it Pinaraism. The anti-incumbency, he has puts it Pinaraism, Marimonism. These are the terms Anwar uses. But anti-incumbency was there. That the votes, in spite of Pinarai, I mean the chief minister and the whole CPM machinery, LDF machinery, working there for 3 weeks, intensive work they did. In spite of that, and Chief Minister, camped in Nilambur, and for 3 days he camped in Nilambur. In spite of all that, it worked against the LDF. There was nothing but anti-incumbency. It, of course, even though it reflected in different forms, like the CPM was making allegations like communal allegations on the LDF. In spite of all that, none of them reflected in the results. It was in the expected line.
What do you
It was
think were the factors that contributed to the victory of UDF? Because the UDF initially, it looked like a divided camp. There was no unanimity of any opinion, and there was also confusion pertaining to taking along PV Anwar, whose resignation actually led to this election. So, what are the factors that actually contributed to this particular win?
the number one factor is, of course, the anti-incumbency thing, and two, the UDF was focusing on the issues faced by hill farmers. A lot of issues were being faced by hill farmers,
The human
particularly
animal conflict?
a human-animal conflict, and yeah, of course, human-animal conflict. UDF was focusing on the way the LDF was dealing with that, and the Adivasi issues. All these were raised in this election, and besides that, the UDF camp has strengthened like anything. The camp has, particularly the major constituent like Indian Union Muslim League. Their contribution is immense, and unlike any previous election, we saw uh, 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 the members of Panakkad family campaigning actively this time. This all contributed. UDF actually worked like a single unit. That's why we saw UDF chairman V.D. Sadishan attributing the success to Team UDF. He was repeatedly denying the claim that he could take any claim on this victory. He was repeatedly sharing this claim on the UDF, and they worked together. And They never targeted personally. There was no personal allegation in these elections. They were careful not to offend Anwar also. They said nothing against Anwar during the campaign, even if he went on provoking the UDF and the LDF alike. But none of them provoked him back. None of them gave him anything back. All these factors actually helped UDF pull
But
off
VD
election.
Satishan was one of the leaders who did not want to have a truck with Anwar, which was what forced Anwar to field himself as an independent candidate, because he
True.
initially wanted the banner of TMC, which was denied to him because TMC is not a recognized party here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, where do we stand in the scheme of things? I mean, where does Anwar stand in the scheme of things? Because just now, after the election result came out, KPCC president made a statement that Anwar's entry into UDF is not a closed chapter, which means there is a chance of him now entering UDF fold. And further, he was there as legislator for 2 consecutive terms. And then he broke his ties with the LDF, raised a slew of allegations against them. And both these UDF and LDF camps believed that he would, at best, poll about 10,000 votes. But I mean, it turns out that he has had much more influence among voters than, I mean, many of these people calculated. So he polled about 19,000 plus. So where does he now stand in the scheme of things going forward? And he has also challenged Minister Muhammad Riaz, saying that he would consider, if he is taken into UDF, he'll consider contesting from Bepur in the assembly elections next year.
That's a wonderful challenge thrown by Anwar. Actually, in fact, that was one of the propositions made by the UDF earlier in the early negotiations. Bepur, you can contest in Bepur. That was one of the propositions made by UDF. In fact, Anwar right now, soon after the election, the results started coming in, trickling in. Anwar's statements were very, very significant. He never said anything against UDF. He made it a point that he said that the votes he garnered, nearly 19,000 plus, nearly 20,000 votes he garnered, were from the LDF camps. That's what he claimed. It may not be 100% correct, but he made such a deliberate claim that the votes were from the LDF. That is clearly with the intention of moving over to the UDF in future. And he was saying, yesterday he said that even if he does not win, there are two. He claimed there are two Pinarais in Nilambur. One is the direct Pinarai, one is the Pinarai behind the curtain. And even if he doesn't win, Pinarai behind the curtain should win, meaning that the UDF should win. That is what he said. And today he is repeatedly saying that it is anti-Pinaraism. Pinaraism the LDF has been defeated like anything. He has been celebrating the LDF defeat. Actually, that way he is giving overtures towards his shift to the UDF. And the UDF is also equally careful not to say anything against his move. In fact, what UDF chairman, I think KPCC president, he said, even media guys asked, his door is closed. He said, there are no doors without a lock. He said, he used the word lock. Any door, closed door can be used with a lock. That's what he said. That is an indicator that Anwar can move on to the UDF. And it is likely that he will. But at the same time, VD Satishan today said, he reminded the journalists of the vitriols that Anwar made during during this last 3 weeks against Satishan. He reminded them, but still, there are chances that he might move on to the UDF. Without moving on to the UDF, he cannot stand on his own. He has not won with a vote of AITC. The AITC has not been a factor at all. Anwar, even though he used the flags, he used the symbols of AITC during his campaign, he needed something. That is why he used AITC. Whereas,
Trinamool Congress doesn't even have a proper organizational mechanism in the state, right?
That is true. That is true. Yeah. He just used something he needed. Even if you and I are contesting, we need something to project. So he used that. That's all. But it is not AITC. It is Anwar's influence. That has to be noted. He
Now,
has
you made a mention of IUML. Yeah, you made a mention of IUML playing a considerable part in Anwar's victory. Anwar and IUML has had a very touchy kind of relationship. So, has the IUML stance towards Anwar changed over time?
Anwar has been very cautious and very friendly towards the IUML. He never offended any of them. But at the same time, Anwar was reminding the past bitterness between Ariadan family and the IUML Kodapanakal family, Tangal family. Okay. In fact, Ariadan was a critique of Panakad
The
Tangal.
Tangal family.
Tangal family. And
Yeah.
Shaukat too was a critique. But of late,
Yeah.
Shaukat changed.
You're talking about Ariadan Muhammad.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
talking about Ariadan Senior and Ariadan Junior. We can say Ariadan
Junior.
Senior.
Shaukat's father.
Shaukat's father.
Yeah.
He was a man who bluntly criticized. He never agreed the predominance of Panakad Tangal in the Muslim community. He never agreed that. And Shaukat also was a critique of Tangal family before. But of late, things have changed. Shaukat has spoken very high of Panakat family, and he went to soon after his the announcement of the candidate. He straight went to Panakat and to take their blessings. And at that time, the big Tangal, Sayyid Sadiq Ali Tangal, was in Makkah. He had gone for Hajj, and he spoke to him over phone, and Tangal assured him his prayers during Hajj. All these things happen, and a kind of patch up has happened between the UML and Ariadan, and that patch up reflected in the campaign. The whole the Tangal family members like Sayyid Munawar Ali Shihab Tangal, Sayyid Abbas Ali Shihab Tangal, and Sayyid Rashid Ali Shihab Tangal, all these people campaigned. It never happened before. They never used to come for campaigns. Maybe as the president of Indian Union Muslim League, the senior Tangal might inaugurate one convention and all. This was the practice. But these days, all these Tangal family members, they campaigned actively in Malappuram, and Kunyalikutty had taken special interest, and the whole league machinery was at its full go. Actually, it was a very amazing work the Indian Union Muslim League did. Actually, Sadish was acknowledging that in his reply.
No, Shaukat, like you said, was an ardent critic of the Tangal family. And the moment his candidature was announced or it was being discussed, there were doubts about whether IUML would come around to support him. So, how did that patch up eventually happen?
In fact, Shaukat had started well before. He had started praising Indian Union Muslim League well before that, well before his candidature was in question. He anticipated a situation like this. He had started praising IUML's. He said IUML was the only party with a what do you call that? With a mercy face. No other party had such a face, and he was praising the UML's overseas body, like Kerala Muslim Cultural Society. All this he was praising, and UML's charity work also he was praising. Maybe with the elections in view, he changed his stance and he started praising. And the Muslim League has taken it as a prestige thing. He did not go for any vendetta or any vengeance. Rather than UDF's victory is Muslim League's victory, they know. So they took it as a prestige, and they went all out to ensure Ariadan's victory here.
Yeah. The LDF was initially, when the candidature of Swaraj was announced and when intense campaign was carried out, the general belief was that LDF would give Shaukat a very close fight. But that was not the case. When the now that the results are out, we have uh, we have seen that LDF was not able to get a margin even in their strongholds. So where did they actually falter? So was it just anti-incumbency, or there is more to it? Was
To
Swaraj's candidature a mistake made by LDF or the CPM?
No, Swaraj's candidature was never a mistake. I don't think it was a mistake. Swaraj was the best candidate they could uh, field in Nilambur, in a place like Nilambur. But it was not enough. Anti-incumbency has been very strong. And in spite of all that, in spite of Swaraj's candidacy, strong candidacy, uh, the, the UDF made such an advantage. UDF had such an advantage in Nilambur. It is not Swaraj's candidacy. It is, to a large extent, it is anti-incumbency.
So this is going to have this is not going to have an impact in the on the assembly, the figures in the assembly, because the LDF even after this has got 98 seats. But then this is certainly going to change the political landscape of Kerala. That is what many experts say. So, do you think that this is going to make an impact on the local body polls later this year and the assembly polls next year? Because it is still some time away. So,
Definitely,
how strong is going to be the impact?
first of all, this is such a one moral booster for the UDF. With a high morale, the UDF is going to take. I'm going to the local body polls. So that itself is the biggest advantage they have. And the second is, in spite of keeping keeping a candidate like PV Anwar out, UDF pulled off a victory. That is a big thing. That is a big thing. Had the UDF taken Anwar along with them, Anwar would have claimed 100% credit for this victory. Now the UDF has pulled off a victory, wonderful victory, without Anwar. So that itself is a big thing. So the morale is double.
But Anwar did contribute to it indirectly, right?
Indirectly did. Yes, of course he did. Even though he says he has got the votes of he has garnered the votes of the LDF, we don't know exactly. We still can't say whose votes they are. It is we can't say. But Anwar has contributed indirectly for this. Actually, it's a big drubbing for the LDF if you look at it that way.
In the local body polls.
It is. I won't say in the local body polls it is going to be a drubbing, but this is the LDF has to what do you say? It is a big advantage for the UDF. And if you look at if you analyze the Nilambur itself from a local point of view, say for example, out of 19 rounds, LDF had an edge only in one round. That to a very thin lead. In all other rounds, the UDF was leading. So that was never expected. Even UDF didn't expect that kind of an edge. That's an indicator. This is going to reflect in LDF. I mean, in local body elections to a good extent.
Yeah. Now let's come to BJP, because BJP was initially quite reluctant to field a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Then they fielded a Christian candidate, claiming that they would get more number of votes. They would increase their performance from last time. They would better their performance from last time, increase their vote share. But then that hasn't happened. So neither the candidate nor the new president helped BJP do better than last time in Nilambur. So what could be the reasons?
Reasons is they have failed their thinking that Christians will support them. Just by fielding a Christian candidate, they will get the Christian support. They have failed in this thought. He actually did not make any improvement from the last time. He got hardly 5% votes. Hardly 5% votes. That is a miserable thing for the BJP. BJP did not make any impact.
And forfeited his deposit.
Yeah, definitely. They are going to lose their deposit. they will lose their deposit. That is true. And second thing is the BJP, from the beginning, we doubted the BJP was not at full go, not at full throttle. And they did not bring in too many, even though it's a party that is ruling the country, they did not bring too many leaders. And it was going at a very, what you call that, a modest way. They addressed this election. And this was evident in a way. And yesterday, I mean, on the eve of the counting, he made a statement that a section of BJP voters had voted in favor of the UDF to defeat the LDF. Maybe that was I don't know what kind of statement is that. That on the eve of the results.
So
Maybe
was the statement made to save his face or save the face of the party?
Maybe that was a face saver kind of thing. That was a face saver.
So the new president also was not was of not much help in the constituency.
It is a failure. It's a failure of both. It's failure of candidate. It's failure of the BJP as a party and as well as a president. We can say bluntly.
Okay. So what is the scene there in Nilambur right now? The victory celebrations must be on.
Yeah, they're jubilant. Congress, IUML, and Janata Party supporters are all celebrating like anything. And the celebration is in an electrifying way in front of Ariana Shaukat's house. That is right in Nilambur town. So the celebration in front of his house is so electrifying, I would say.
Okay, thank you so much, Naha, for giving as an idea of the Nilambur bypoll result and where the politics of Nilambur stands at the moment. Thank you all for joining us on this.
Thank you, Anandan. Thank you.